Hi folks, it's me Stephen again from Kenya with another topic for the youth. The topic of today is the youth and the paradox of love, sex and heartaches. The youth have been bombarded with a lot of messages from the media, from the movies, from the internet. Which seem to portray an issue of a burden that people can do what they like and they should follow whatever they feel like. We know that some of these consequences may not be apparent at the beginning, but the dangers are there. That is the issue. There are dangers associated with a free-for-all attitude towards sex. We need to know when our feelings are leading us towards the right way and when our feelings are leading us towards the wrong way. If I may use the wisdom of the Bible, there is a way that seems right to a man, but the end of it is not very good. So the question is, what is the best approach to the issue of the feelings, sexual feelings, which God has put in the human being? The Bible standard is set in the book of Exodus 20, in the 7th commandment, when God says, thou shalt not commit adultery. That means God binds sex into marriage. On the other hand, if we go to scientific facts, we find that the body, the human body, has got a lot of feelings, some of which are unexplained. So again, for answers to those feelings and how to handle those feelings, we need to go back to the Bible. The Bible in the book of Leviticus 15 talks about the first day of menstruation of a lady up to the 7th day of the period, or the time that the period will last, as unclean time. That means the lady is unclean during her period. And according to the Bible, after the period, she was unclean for another 7 days. Now we know that the average cycle for a lady, by and large, is about 28 to 30 days. And therefore, we see that if the lady is unclean for the first 14 days, the earliest a married lady could come into contact with her husband was on the 15th day. This means that God called for respect and understanding of the wife by the man. And the feelings of sex were to be controlled. And that's the point. We have to know that not everything that comes to our mind is good. We have to know that there are many feelings we have which are not correct. As a young person, as a young children, the parents have a responsibility, and many of the time they have to correct their young ones by beating them so that they can remove those feelings that are not right. For example, the feelings of taking something from someone is a bad feeling, but that feeling is normally corrected. In the same way, the feelings that we may have towards engaging in sex outside the Bible, we can call them feelings that need to be controlled. When we look at the issue of drug abuse, we normally say that drug abuse is using a drug for the purpose for which it was not intended. Now, the feelings, if there were no sexual feelings between a girl and a boy, it would be very hard for procreation because there would be no interest. But now we have got God has put very strong feelings And the issue that the young people have, because the feelings are mutual between the boy and the girl, are to understand and to interpret these feelings. The right way to use these feelings is to respect your feelings and to respect your future partner. In the book of Genesis, towards the end of chapter 2, God talks about a man leaving his father and mother and clinging to his wife, and they will become one flesh. Meaning that God expects you as a young man to grow up and become a man, be responsible, be able to have a place to stay, be able to be financially stable, and so that when you decide now it is time for marriage, you will leave your father and mother and go and start and go and cleave to your wife, and you shall become man and wife and become one flesh. The reason for this is because God wants people to be committed to the other. So God is looking for commitment. And many times we see that God uses that issue of love between a man and woman to show the kind of commitment that should be there. So, and then what makes this attraction possible are those sexual feelings that live within the bodies of the man or the young man and the young girl. So they are good feelings, but they should be used in the right feelings. If the feelings are used before one is ready for marriage, then that results to a whole lot of heartaches. For example, it has been proven that no virgin has ever been afflicted with the disease of cervical cancer for young girls. Cervical cancer comes because a lady has had multiple partners, one of whom has transmitted to her the human papillomavirus, which is universally known to be the cause of cervical cancer. So when God gave the seventh commandment, he was putting a ring of protection around the married people and ensuring that people do not get hurt. Nobody will ever go to the hospital because they have not done sex. But a lot of young people today who have gone to the hospital have done sex and have had various complications resulting from pregnancy, abortion, and other forms of sicknesses. So, from God's point of view, the issue of sex is supposed to be done with a lot of respect, and when it is done within marriage. The man should be able to wait, because the lady will not always be disposed to sex. As the Bible has shown, there are times when a man has to exercise self-control. And once you know that, if you are going to use your sexual feelings outside God's plan, then you should know that according to the Bible, any time that you approach a woman and have sex with her, there is always the danger of conception, and therefore you are using your feelings the way God did not intend them to be used. And that's why we have a lot of songs sung by the young people over a long time, like the one sung by Jim Reeves about his heart being in a girl who he feels never knew him. There's DK who sang a blockbuster song about I love you, why should you forget me? It was a song of a young man who loves a lady, and the lady is leaving him, and it is a very painful thing. Meaning that there was issue of trust broken somewhere. There was lack of commitment, and this is the source of all the heartaches. This is the paradox of love, that you love someone, and if you do not show commitment, it will always lead to breakups and heartaches. So the best way forward is not to ignore what the Bible says, but rather to look for solutions in the Bible. The Bible is saying sex is reserved for married people. If you're a young man in school, you are not ready, hold your horses, get ready, get a place to live in before you decide to get married. It doesn't mean that you need to be a very rich person, but you need to be committed. And once you get married, you have to be faithful. That means you have to forsake all the other ladies and stick to one partner. Any other way in which we try to express our feelings, for example, these days on media, we see a lot of young people trying to express their feelings, almost performing simulated sex on the TV through the dances. All these are provoking lust. And we know that lust is not a bad thing as such. Lust is created by God so that when two people are in love, they are married, they are able to make love. So it is very important for you to respect your spouse when you're married, because when you're married, the other person will be committed towards pleasing the other spouse. You will not be selfish. The man will wait until his woman is aroused. He will try to find ways and means of arousing his wife. The wife again will make sure that she is concerned about arousing her husband. That is lust. So lust is useful in consummating a marriage. In absence of lust in a marriage, the marriage cannot be consummated. But when we take the feelings of lust, that means the issue of sexual arousal, and we use it for other people for whom we are not ready to have children with, then we are abusing our feelings which God has created. So the sexual arousal, the lust, and Jesus says that when you look at a woman lustfully, you have already committed sex. That means that if you let your mind veer off and go towards the wrong direction, you are abusing your feelings. That's the bottom line. Anytime we use our sexual feelings and we are trying to arouse lust in an inappropriate manner, we are abusing our sexual feelings. So lust should be encouraged. Those feelings of lust should be encouraged only in marriage, which means that even the issue of hugging others, kissing others in public, all this petting is not useful. It is a well-known fact that even without performing sex, when a man pecks with a woman, touches his organs and touches the woman's organs, there is always a danger of conception, because the young man's sperms can travel for 5 days, and therefore there is always a danger of conception. So all these issues that allows lust, in fact it is recommended, if you are engaged, you should not be in the same loan because of the feelings of lust. So being in the same room with a woman, the feelings of lust can take over and lead to unexpected results. Sometimes we have even heard about date rape. This happens because the lady and the man were in secluded spot, and the man gets overexcited and sometimes does some unintended action. So there are also many other issues associated with sexual feelings. In this particular case, we are talking of homosexuality and lesbianism. We know that the homosexual feeling has no place, because God expects a man. The marriage definition is between a marriage between a man and a woman. Therefore, when a man has got attraction for another man, those feelings are wrong. And we have to agree that all these feelings can be corrected. If somebody is predisposed for whatever psychological reason to do the wrong thing, these are things that once one has set the standard, the God standard, and agreed with God's standard, that marriage, the Bible only expects marriage to be between a man and a woman. And it's very easy to see these things, because if we have seen homosexual couples, men for this matter, trying to adopt a child, the issue is we know that we do not have a father tongue, we have a mother tongue. So who is going to bring up this child if both men, if we have two men pretending to be a couple? So according to God's standard, the child is supposed to be nurtured by the mother. The child is supposed to learn, and the lady's brain is geared towards nurturing maternal feelings of love, talking, trivia with the child, chatting with the child. The woman has got that capacity to talk to the child a lot of things, and therefore bring up the child. And even it is known that it is recommended that a woman should breastfeed a child for the first years for the first months of life, to transmit the immunity through and to bond. So how is a man going to bond with a child? So this means that these feelings, again, this is a classic example of abuse of feelings. Homosexuality is a sign of abuse of a feeling, of the feelings. And there are many other issues. If we talk of the issue of masturbation, on the scale of wrongs, if you go from the issue of adultery, the issue of fornication, homosexuality, masturbation is the lesser evil, because it doesn't involve other people. So on the scale of evil or of trouble, potential trouble, masturbation is on a lower scale. But all the other issues, issues of fornication, issues of adultery, always lead to other complications. And that is the reality of the situation. So God's commandments should be viewed as protection for the young people. We should know that we are fearfully and wonderfully made with very good, strong feelings, which, when used appropriately, will last a long time. We should think about the long run. We should not think about the short run. It is a well-known fact that when people do things for instant gratification, they forget about the long run. The same thing that Esau did. He forsook the long run for the short run. So let's try to see and not do what others are doing just to appear to be joining the crowd. But let's have appropriate reasons, sufficient information. The truth of the matter is, there is a lot of danger when we allow our sexual feelings to go anyhow. And it is a known fact that our actions should be based on our self-chosen values, not on circumstances, not on moods, not on feelings. So what values do we have when we are hugging anyhow in sex, when we are in public, or having sex anyhow? What values do we have? What are our long term? Would we like our children to do the same? So we must have a value system that is for the long run. Therefore, if we don't, we will be thinking that we are going to have love, and at the end of it, we shall have a heartache. Yeah, we shall be victims of the paradox of love and sex and heartaches, whereby we shall be victims, like Donna Summer sang the song, what's love has got to do with it? What's love has got to do with it? What does love have to do with it? Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? That means that we will not be able to get the full joy that God has reserved for us. And this applies in all areas of sex, even lesbianism. All these habits in the long run lead to problems. So I want to leave the youth with that thought, that we need to know that whatever we do should be for the long run. And we should always avoid situations where we are using the feelings that God gave us for the purpose for which they were not intended. Thank you very much. See you next time, and take care. A bientôt.